Welcome to the Collab Podcast. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Devin.
On this podcast, we explore concepts of self-mastery and community collaboration
through in-depth panel discussions and intimate interviews with dance's most prominent figures.
Yeah. She my peanut butter jelly snack, pull it ride, but she painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. When I'm all alone, she pulled through. So when I catch that
all right, welcome to the Community Lab podcast. Our guest today could be best described as a powerhouse in the creative arts. Following his passion for music, Cye started building his dance career back in 2007, training with teams such as Future Shock and Culture Shock San Diego, Super Galactic Beat Manipulators, who he leads now, and received close mentorship from Keone and Mari Madrid and Vinh Nguyen. With 13 years of dance experience and counting, Cye has spent nearly 7,000 hours and probably more in perfecting his craft. Michelle and I have witnessed firsthand Cye in his element, performing full out on stage, then popping on the backstage headset to cue the next act in his show without missing a beat. As a seemingly unstoppable force, Cye has gone on to open Legacy Creative Arts Dance Studio with 22 dance classes currently being offered in addition to music lessons. As a dancer, choreographer, class instructor, director, singer, event producer, and entrepreneur, Cye is the prime example of going the distance to build an incredible legacy. Welcome, Cye.
Welcome, Cye.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, when we were prepping over the last couple days for this episode, I was telling Devin that I know you by association through Devin, but I don't know you in sort of this like intimate, like, you know, we never danced together. I just know you by affiliation through Devin. And I was just like reading your bio and just kind of like your career highlights. I was like speechless.
I honestly didn't even think about it this way until you guys said it. I was like, whoa, okay, wow.
I mean, the amount that you've accomplished and you're only 28 years old, it's incredible and noteworthy.
I honestly never put it on paper, so I was like 7,000 hours. Wow.
Roughly. I mean, it's probably
more.
More.
Hours that you haven't really like logged, you know? Devin and I talked about this. One of the things that she asked me to do was pick an adjective to describe you. And I had such a hard time, not because I don't know you, but because when I think of Cye, I think of sort of this force to be reckoned with. I think of this very like strong entrepreneur, sort of unstoppable and untouchable in a lot of different ways. And so we'll delve into that. But this unstoppable, untouchable Cye had to start somewhere. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
So we pulled up an old video.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I'm tiny.
You're so tiny and so young.
Tiny, yeah. I actually remember teaching these classes. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was about 15 or 16 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky enough to, get these opportunities at a young age. I remember actually teaching this piece to Eastlake Amel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It might have been 2008 or maybe even late 2007.
Did you teach this to any other teams? Because I remember learning this, but I don't think I took your class. Okay.
Yeah, Future Shock.
Yeah, I think the funny thing was when we came up with the idea of looking up an old video of yours, we're like, okay, we're going to dig in the archives, go as far back as we possibly can. And we came across this video. We clicked on it thinking like, oh, this is going to be good. Like, and it was really good. And I think we were just like, oh, this is not embarrassing.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
It's so good.
You just have to dig deeper.
So did you always feel like dance came so naturally to you? Because that's the impression that I get when I watch that video.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of why I went more towards the dance career path, was because dance did become such an easier outlet. I actually started out as a singer for most of my childhood, I guess you could say, doing more singing, performing more with singing, and then once I got into or exposed into the dance community, it just kind of took off from there.
Do you come from a family of singers/performers?
Yeah. So my parents are actually both singers. They were performing with a lot of Filipino celebrities, doing concerts with them. And my parents tell me all the time that they were dancers back in the day. And, you know, I tell them that there's no proof. I don't see any proof, so I don't know. I'm just going to take the word for it. But yeah, my whole family, my siblings are singers too. My brother and I were in show choir for pretty much all of school. That's kind of where I got dance tied into, was the show choir, because they sing and dance at the same time.
Yeah, I was in choir also. I actually lettered in choir, but I don't know how to sing. I was more of like a background person. I actually, funny story, I went to school with Adam Lambert, and he was in my choir class.
Chula Vista?
No, I went to Mount Carmel in Peñasquitos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got to sing with Adam Lambert before he got famous.
Maybe he'll listen to this podcast.
Hello, Adam.
So show choir is the sort of point in your life where you decided to pivot towards dance?
It's a weird story. There were many pivotal moments in my life where it kind of was pushing me towards dance. First instance I remember was one of my best friends. He was taking dance classes at a studio, and he was the only guy. And he kept telling me, like, oh my God, we need more guys. Like, it doesn't matter if you like know how to do it or whatnot. He told me to like jump in, and I did it. After a few years, I ended up taking over. Oh, Eric Molina. Eric was teaching there like towards the later half of the time that I was there, and then he ended up taking dance more full force. He left, and they needed a teacher, and they took me, and I was still very young. And then at one point, he told me to audition for Future Shock, and I didn't know what this was. You know, like I was new to the whole dance scene, and he was like, "Just do it. Auditions are today." I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, it was like a few hours from then, and so I went to auditions in my jeans.
Oh,
because I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. You know, and
you had shoes, right?
I had shoes, yeah.
At least that.
I didn't even know like what a dance audition was.
Right.
You know? I must have been 15 at the time. So I went, and I ended up making it, and that was really the pivotal moment of my career, because that's when I started getting the training that I needed and the exposure to the dance community that I didn't even know existed.
I want to go back a little bit, because you were talking about your parents being, you know, entertainers and them, you know, dancing and things like that. And I know in my experience, I had a lot of friends that were Filipino and that wanted to pursue dance, but their parents didn't take it seriously. Luckily for me and my sister, my parents, you know, they're younger generation in terms of, you know, they're not old school. My dad grew up dancing. He was in the entertainment industry. So he was always very supportive of us pursuing dance as a career. But I had a lot of friends that didn't have parents that were like that. So, I mean, what has your experience been with your parents sort of having that background and you pursuing it as a career?
It's always one or the other. You get one or the other.
Yeah.
Filipino parents. They either fully supportive or not at all. I was lucky enough to have parents who understood the value of the arts and the fact that they enjoyed music as well. Made it easier. I do recall a time when I was becoming more serious with it, that my parents were talking to me about it and saying, like, well, you have to have a backup plan. You have to think about your future still, because you know, it can be unrealistic to pursue. My thought process was like, yes, I understand that. I definitely had backup plans. Like, I mean, I was academically successful as well, so I wasn't too worried about that. But I just knew what I wanted, and when I set my mind to something, like, I'm gonna go for it. Like, there's no other way to do it. You know, what I did was I knew that I had to prove to them that there were opportunities for it. And this is kind of what I tell people all the time who ask me the same question or who feel the same way. They want to pursue dance, but you know, someone's not supporting them. And I tell them, like, whether or not it may seem like there's no opportunities, like, you have to build those opportunities. You know, you have to go and create the success that you want. And that's the reason why, like, you know, like, we created the dance competition, or, you know, like, found the business side of dance, because like you can create a business out of any passion that you have. And everything that we do today, everything that we consume is because someone had a passion and created a business out of it. Art is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You know? And so I just had to show to my parents that, you know, there is a possibility with creating or making dance as your career.
I mean, you mentioned earlier that you were basically coerced to audition for Future Shock. At what point did you say, okay, like this is good, I'm going all in, like I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be?
You know, I think I was lucky there because I knew right away. Like, you know, I fell in love. Well, I had already enjoyed dance, you know, but being exposed to a whole new world kind of reinforced that vision. Right away, I knew, like, okay, I'm gonna have my own dance studio. Like, I'm gonna do this. Like, this is what I want to do. And just seeing, like, the possibilities with it, like knowing that you, like, there were these studios, like, and I'm such an idea person. Like, I love like coming up with new ideas and making it come to fruition. And so I was like, yeah, like I can do this. So I think right off the bat, I knew that I wanted to do it, and I was lucky in that sense. And then I kind of just went 100% with it. And I know not everybody has that same path. Like, you know, some people struggle with trying to figure out what it is that they want, and that's okay. And I think I just I set my heart and mind into it and went for it.
Was there ever a time where you questioned, like, where you were going?
Oh yeah, I mean, till this day, you know, like, I think any journey you're gonna have that setback. Like, is this something long term? Like, is this something that you can keep doing? Like, and even till now, I have a hard time with time management and, you know, trying to make it. You know, I'm not rolling around in a mansion, you know, so I'm still trying to figure out, like, okay, like, is this something that I can do? But it really is about just perseverance and telling yourself that it doesn't matter, like, if you're unsure, like, you have to make sure, you know, you have to make it happen. You know, nothing's gonna come easy, and nothing's gonna just be laid out in front of you. And so you have to be the person to make it happen.
I think it's so important for people, particularly that want to pursue dance as a career, to understand that perseverance plays a key role in your success. Because especially if you want to go into industry, I mean, we haven't really delved into that topic, but, you know, you're going to face a lot of obstacles. You're going to face a lot of letdowns.
Forever.
Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely.
In regards to being a choreographer, I definitely felt a lot of trials with that because, like, when I was young and I had more time, I was teaching a lot, and I was, like, starting to travel. I was starting to get my name out there. And then, you know, reality hit, and I needed to make money. Like, I didn't come from like a rich family, so, you know, I had to help, and I had to make some income. And so right after high school, I started working, and I started working full time. That took up a lot more time than I thought. That took away from my passion. That took away from me being able to set time to choreograph and to continue putting myself out there. And even to this day, like, one of my biggest regret is not taking that on, like, 100% and not being the choreographer that I want to be. I still get to do what I love, and I still get to help others in that sense as a choreographer. But, you know, as a choreographer, you want to do something for yourself as well and get your art out there. There was a time in my life where I was like, man, like, do I want to, like, kind of put that behind me, or, like, do I want to shift my time onto other things? And then, you know, now running my own business, like, how does that come into play? Like, how do I kind of balance everything out? So, you know, you still have those thoughts, and I feel like they'll always be there, but I think as long as you have the drive, like, it'll always be there. Like, it'll never go away. And
you're still working now and running a studio, is that correct?
Yeah.
How do you balance work and more work?
And directing a dance team. Good question. Time management. Time management is definitely the biggest skill that you need to work on in order to balance everything. To-do lists, reminders. I am very, very close best friends with my calendar. If it's not in my calendar, I can easily forget it. I honestly pencil everything in just to keep myself organized, and I'm talking about, like, events, vacations, hanging out with my friends. Like, I try to put those in there because I want to be there for my friends still, you know? And if I put work and life first and kind of forget about your friends, you know, like, it becomes harder. Like, it's harder to enjoy the things that you're trying to make a life for. So, yeah, I definitely try to calendar everything and making sure that there's a schedule for everything. I put the time when I need to choreograph on my calendar. Like, I set a time. Everything's kind of a recurring schedule for me. And it's not ideal, but it'll pay off in the future.
Creating a habit and a routine kind of helps you propel when you're, you know, in the midst of a hustle, right? Like, if you have a routine and you have regular habits that you're doing constantly, it sort of helps you kind of get to where you want to be and achieve those goals, because you know, it's hard to, like you said, make time for the life that you want to live, right? So it's nice to kind of have those pockets of time and those habits every day, because it keeps everything, you know, consistent.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, it's try to get as much work done now to progress faster, you know, and try to reach that end goal a lot sooner. So you're not working a little bit now and then in a longer lifespan, then you attain your goals at a later age, and then you're like, wow, okay, well, the life that I built is not the life that I wanted, you know? So I'm trying to get everything done now so that I can still see the vision clearly and not stray from that too far.
I think hearing you say these things is why we wanted to do this podcast, because so many times we get to see you is either at a show or because we're taking class and it's like, hey, how are you? Good. And it's a quick, very surface level catch up. Mm-hmm. But to be able to ask you some of the things that we've been wanting to ask you and just get to know you and like what you're doing with dance it's so good. Like, all of this is so good. And I hope our listeners are getting a lot of value out of this, because I feel like we are.
Definitely. And I think one thing so far that I've taken away, and I think a lot of people lose sight of this, is really just the focus. Like, you have laser focus. You know what your goals are. You know where you need to get. And you're just sort of on the path moving forward. And I think a lot of times, not even dancers, but just people in general, we get so easily sidetracked, right? Yeah. Because it's so easy to, you know, take a vacation or go on Instagram or grab some coffee with friends. And that's all fine and good. And yes, we make time to do that. But I think to be laser focused, especially in this like time that we're living in, is so difficult.
Oh, yeah. But I think that that is a very important role, is that you have to have focus on what it is that you want. Yeah. And whether or not you know what you want, you have to choose something. You have to figure out something that you want to be successful in. Even if it's not going to be long term, you have to just commit to it and then make it happen. And if it's not what you wanted, well, move on to the next thing, you know? And then that way you're getting rid of the waste of time. Even till now, it's hard to be 100% sure. You just choose something, you go for it, and then once you get there, you figure out if you want to move forward or move on.
Absolutely. Well, and I remember someone once told me, you know, I can't remember the exact saying, but it's something about like, yeah, the road is bumpy or something, but that is the road. Like, it's, who cares? Like, it's always going to be bumpy. Like, that's the road that you have to take. So you're always going to, you know, come across these obstacles. Everything's always going to seem difficult, but that's the path. That's the road that you chose. Yeah. So you have to take it. Yeah. It's not going to be a smooth road, or it's not going to be smooth sailing all the way down. You know, I can't remember the saying. I'll think of it. Yeah.
I got you on that one.
The gist of it, right?
I understand.
So one of the things that we really want to talk to you about is your studio legacy. Mm-hmm. And I guess just if you could summarize maybe in a quick 3 words, what is your legacy and what is your legacy? The second part can be a little bit longer, but how is your studio playing into that?
That's exactly why I wanted the name, just to touch on that, is legacy. Like, what is it that you're going to leave behind? Like, what is it that you're gonna pass on to the future generations? And I think that is what best describes the studio, is just your gift to the future. if I could summarize it, that's
I
it.
love
It wasn't
that.
3 words, but
That was great.
maybe 4.
As I was saying it, I was like, that's quite a task I gave you. But that's awesome. I was reading a little bit on the studio website that you guys also offer music lessons. Is that something that you're personally involved in as well?
Not personally. I think that there are people best suited for that, better suited to teach, and I wouldn't want to do that to any student. I'm not as well versed as I would like to with instruments. I love music, any type of music. I dabble with guitar. I took some courses in college, and I did have to put it in the back burner for a while because life, you know. So I have other instructors who do that, but I knew that I wanted to offer it because the fact that I called it Creative Arts Studio and not just dance studio is because I wanted it to be expansive. I wanted it to be anything that involved the creative arts because I think creativity is such an important aspect in life, whether you are in the most far-fetched profession, like anything can be tackled with creativity. And I think that that's a misconception that people get when they hear the word creativity. They associate it with art so quickly, but I honestly think that creativity goes a long way. There's so many ways that you can tackle a certain problem. You know, you can do it the logistical way or you can tackle it the creative way. Creativity is such an important part of our lives, and that's why I wanted it to be more creative arts and include just all types of music.
That's really cool. So I have 2 questions that I want to ask as a follow-up. The first one is, do you think it's easier to learn dance or learning how to sing?
In my experience and in my own personal experience, I think dance is definitely a lot easier. It's definitely more 1 and 2. It's kind of weird to say, but I feel like it's more tangible. Like you can understand it more and figure out what it is that you need to do, as opposed to singing. You just have one vocal cord, essentially, you know, like, and trying to figure that out itself is like, it's a whole different anatomy, you know, it's trying to figure out different ranges, and there's just so much that goes into it, and then trying to produce it, you know, it is a whole different level. You can learn all the techniques, but then if it just isn't, like, if you just don't have the ear for it, it's difficult. I feel like I have a good understanding of singing, but my range can only go so much, you know, so my song choices are limited, you know, and the things that I can do with my vocal cords are limited. You can only push it so much. Whereas dancing, you have so much more range. You have your limits endless, and whether or not you can do the most physical, like, dance moves, like, you can if you practice it enough. Like, it's literally repetitive skill. You can do it over and over and over until you are able to do it. You know, as for singing, I feel like it takes so much more work to do so.
I totally agree. My husband is Vietnamese, and so his family speaks Vietnamese, and there's a lot of like fluctuations and tonal differences, and we joke around that I'm tonally deaf because I don't hear it. I don't have the ear. I do have another question for you. I don't want to pivot too far from Legacy Creative, but I am curious. We were talking about this yesterday. With your singing and dance background, have you ever considered being an entertainer like Justin Timberlake or Usher?
Yes, actually, for a long time. I mean, I still do, you know, I would love to still keep that as a possibility.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm still young, you know.
Yes.
I'm not, like, I don't want to put that too far away, but yes, I would love to. Like, that would be awesome. Back when I was 16, maybe like 15 and a half, but 16, I actually auditioned for American Idol.
No way!
Yeah, like the first time they ever brought it to San Diego, I auditioned for it in hopes of becoming an entertainer, you know? Obviously, I'm still here. I did not make it.
Your loss, American Idol.
Right? But yeah, like, I always wanted to, and I still do want to try to be in Broadway. Like, I would love to be in Broadway. Like,
I just got goosebumps.
like, that would be awesome, you know? Like,
That's amazing. Oh, those are some good goals. I got goosebumps.
We're gonna listen to this episode like 5 years from now, and Cye's gonna be on Broadway.
I hope so. I don't want to listen to this podcast in 5 years and be like, wow, I'm still not on Broadway.
Well, and if by a minuscule chance that you aren't, I'm sure it's because you're doing something more with your time. So
something great. So I want to backtrack a little bit about kind of where you got inspiration. You know, you talk about some of your mentors being Keone and Mari. And so I want to talk about kind of what sort of inspiration you found in some of the mentors that you told us about.
I mean, just say their name.
I know. I feel like that was a loaded question.
That's inspiration enough. But you know, it's really their drive and their passion for what they do, and you can just see that it's genuine. No matter what it is that they do, I mean, they put endless amounts of good work. Like, I honestly, till this day, I can't even remember anything that they can't be proud of, you know. And just seeing them in their element and having them express to you their knowledge keeps you motivated. It keeps you going, you know. And I think that that's what's important, is you have to surround yourself with people who will expose you to that and to keep you inspired. I mean, just seeing them dance, honestly, just seeing them dance, you can't help but not want to be like that. You see that and you're like, wow, that's what I attain to be. I was lucky enough to still have them around while they were in the community. So I mean, that's where the inspiration comes from.
I mean, I know. So I never wanted to pursue dance as a career, but I know every time I watch them, exactly what you said. Every time I watch them, I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I want to dance like that.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many dancers, there's so many artists out there who provide that for me. Just the fact that I had the experience, I was blessed to have that opportunity to help me be where I am now. And I honestly, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have that inspiration.
Yeah, so much of what you said is reflected in you when we watch you dance. It's kind of like that inclination to, okay, yeah, let's go take a dance class. Like, let's go be better.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that we're doing. And I think we're so lucky to know you and so many other dancers in the community that make us feel like that.
Yeah. And the community is full of them. Mm-hmm. You just need to know where to look, right?
Yeah. And that's really the importance of indulging in the dance community, or being part and involved in the community, and just meeting new people, whether it be for a brief moment or long term. You know, like you meet these people and you know them for life, and you really get influenced by, you know, their drive. And like, even till this day, like, I've known you guys for so long, but it's become a lifelong friendship. If you're not involving yourself in there, like, you'll never get that motivation.
So we've talked a lot about kind of you and the legacy, and I want to talk about a little bit more about that, just in terms of how you, in your opinion, how do you see the community has evolved from the time that you started dancing to what it is now?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot has changed since I started dancing. Someone asked me not too long ago how long I've been dancing, and I was like, wow, really? Like 13 years professionally, you know, because I mean, I've danced before that, but I didn't really consider it like what it is now. I kind of just pinpointed 2007 as the moment that was my dance career, you know. So I was like, wow, a lot has changed from when I started. Now we have the luxury of all the social media, you know. There's many platforms for dancers and artists to expose themselves and to put themselves out there. And there's definitely a lot more opportunities for dancers to become professionals and to have a career in dance. So the drive of dancers today, I think, has shifted more now to industry workers. You know, back then, when I first started dancing, it was really the elite dancers who were pursuing industry. And when you heard someone pursuing industry, you're like, wow, like, you're gonna spend all your time doing this. And so not everyone was going for that, you know. I think now, with all the opportunities, I think that's where the change has developed, is more people are pursuing it, whether it be in dance videos, music videos, shows, whatever it may be, or they're trying to be like an independent entertainer on social media. There's that opportunity. So the focus, I think, has changed over time. It's kind of harder to see like community shows. I think now that people are starting to realize that, we're cycling back into it, and people are starting to do more like smaller shows, local community shows, and I think that's good. I think no matter what, it's going to be a cycle.
Yeah.
It's going to come and go, and we're going to be in the same position 10 years from now.
Yeah. It's like fashion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the baggy jeans are coming back, like, you know, all the old TLC styles coming back, like from the 90s, back in my day.
Oh, and fashion and dance, a lot of people wear less color.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
That's such a good point.
You wear neutrals to rehearsal, and I'm guilty for it. You know, I love my neutrals.
Yeah. That's so funny that you brought that up, because I instantly thought of just going to like either Connections rehearsal or Future Shock rehearsal, and you always looked at everyone's shoes to see, you know, what Nike dunks they had. And
Dunks,
right? Like I remember I had these like bright green and black Nike dunks, and I was just so proud to wear them to rehearsal. I was like, this is hip hop, you know? So I love that you brought that up. It's just a little bit more subdued and kind of neutral.
Yeah, well, and I was the old ass lady who was running around with like neon pink dunks because my sister was wearing neon green dunks, right? So I was like, oh, she's cool. Like I gotta be like her.
I mean, that was the style.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like hip hop is, or dance, it's a lifestyle, you know. Everything that happens outside is heavily influenced with what's happening with hip hop, you know. So the fashion that's outside of dance, you know, people are gonna bring that into dance as well. You can even see in rehearsals, like people are wearing more fitted clothes.
Yeah.
Even people who say that they wear baggy clothes, like, no, you gotta go back. You gotta go back like 15, 20 years ago when big was like 5 times size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really interesting. And I think that it's ties back to what you were saying about just being creative and, you know, just this is a way to sort of branch out and be, you know, it's this beautiful thing where you can just be creative all over with your music, with your movements, with your clothes, everything.
And finding influence in everything that's happening in life. Like, you can literally be influenced by whether it be a movie or, you know, something like a world event or a flower that you saw outside, like, and that's where I think the creativity comes in, is like it's influence, it's an inspiration, and that's the beauty with art. Like, you can literally create anything out of anything.
On that note, going into your studio is kind of like walking into a work of art. When Michelle and I first visited the studio, I think we were taken away by just how clean and how cohesive the aesthetic was. What was your inspiration for that?
I really wanted simplicity. I wanted something simple, something not distracting, where you could just focus on what it is that you came in there to do. I wanted to brand. I wanted someone to see the studio or anything associated with the studio, and you immediately thought legacy. Like, okay, that was associated with legacy. Right from the start, I knew what colors I wanted, and I knew that I wanted to stay within those realms, and the logo was going to be a mainstay. Like, I wanted people to recognize the logo and know, like, that's the face of the company. From the very beginning, I knew that I just wanted something just clean. And it's funny too, when I was constructing the studio, like my family, my parents were like, oh, like, you should do this and you should do that, or like, you should put this color on the wall. And I was like, no, I just want white. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know what it was, but it just kind of spoke to me. Like, I went in that room and I just looked at it and I was like, no, I really just want it to be white, and just like, I want the wood flush to stand out. Like, and then the logo was wood too, so like that was able to stand out. And so really that was kind of just what it was. I just looked at it and I knew that I just wanted white walls. I put semi-shimmer on there on the paint to make it a little, you know, a little more reflective, a little shinier, make it a little nicer than just like pale, flat white, you know.
I will have to take a closer look the next time we go.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's really funny. But
well, because the room, like the front is nothing but windows, like it lets in a lot of sunlight. So I figured, a little bit of that reflection would be nice.
Have you ever thought about going into interior design?
No, I haven't. Well, my brother's he's really good at it. He has an knack for it. So he definitely gave me some pointers.
And I think that that's what's so beautiful about it is that it was so simple. And in a way, it's also very powerful. Like that's what, when Devin and I walked into the space, we're like, wow. Like it's so beautiful. It's the simplicity in it. And I think another thing that I want to give kudos to you on is the cohesive branding that you were talking about. That's really carried over into your social media too. I know that when I'm scrolling on Instagram, because I do this just the quick scroll, right? But every time I know that a legacy post comes up because the branding is so cohesive, and so then I backtrack and then I stop to watch the video, and I think that just kind of it's just really telling as to like how connected your branding is, and you did a great job.
Thank you. If you ever watch The Simpsons, right? So the reason why the characters are yellow is because the creators of the show wanted that same effect, that if you were scrolling through channels, if you see yellow people, you would know that The Simpsons are on. That idea stuck so much to me. I was like, wow, like I would have never thought of that. And I must have heard that, I don't know, it must have been 15, I don't know, a long time ago. I always think about that. I was like, wow, that's branding to its fullest, And so I knew how important it was for someone to, like you said on social media, like if you saw something just like at a quick glance and you would notice it's us, then you know that you're branding correctly.
Yeah, well, it works for me. Thank you, Simpsons.
Right?
That's such a cool tip.
Yeah, and see, you can find inspiration everywhere. You have to pay attention.
So building Legacy, the studio, and building your legacy is not an easy feat. What were some of the tools, resources, maybe business classes, workshops that you took that you found really helped you in doing that?
Yeah, so at an early age, I was heavily involved in ASB at school. Since 7th grade, I was in ASB all the way through high school. I was a senior, I was ASB president. That alone gave me a lot of leadership and management skills. And then when I went on to start working, I was office managers for my work, so I was able to get the business side of it. That's where the experience came from, was managing a business. Really gave me insight to what it took, because you can have leadership skills, but it's a whole different ballgame once it comes into just knowing the ins and outs of what goes on a day-to-day operation. To be honest with you, I took business classes in college. It's school. They generalize it, they make it a cookie cutter experience, and they kind of just shove information down your throat. And what retains out of all that, I got more of my experience from hands-on. And I think, and I always preach this, and I know it's bad, but it's really not until you get onto the field and do the dirty work where it sticks, and where you learn the hard stuff, and you learn the difficulties, and you see the tribulations, I think that's what helped me become successful into learning how to run a business. And not saying that I know everything till this day, like, oh my God, it's an ever-evolving monster, and I'm learning all these new things, and every day you deal with a whole new issue, so you're always just going to be growing. But yay for growth.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you on that, because, I've talked about, and this is not related to dance or owning a studio or anything, but, when I first started working, like in the real world, I got a job at a hospital, I quit college, and I remember my parents being like, whoa, wait a minute. But then I took a couple years off, and I actually started to sort of get my hands dirty and understand the true meaning of, dirty work and sort of understanding the ins and outs. And then I actually went to school to get that degree specific for what I was doing. Yeah. And I found that to be so much more valuable versus kind of going into college blindly and then just saying, oh, okay, well, I'm going to switch it or whatever, right? So I feel like that's a really good example, because, you're not going to know until you really just kind of delve in.
Yeah, and you never know the reality of it.
Yeah.
Even if you go to school and get a master's in what you're learning, but never in a day was exposed to what you're really going to be seeing. Like, no one's going to tell you those things. No. And no one has the time to tell you about what goes on a day-to-day routine, you know? So I think experience is invaluable. Like, it's like you learn so much more from that than anything anyone can teach you.
I think what we're going to do at this point in time is Devin has some rapid fire questions. So this is a lot of fun. This is a part in our podcast where we sort of put you on the spot. And these questions are intended to be answered in like a 5 to 10 second time period. So we got to go super duper quick.
So let's go ahead. Are you ready?
I think so.
Choreo or freestyle?
Choreo.
Singing or dancing?
Dancing.
That was with such like hesitation and gritted teeth. Favorite SGBM medley?
Ooh. 2013 Body Rock retirement set. I'll touch on that later.
These next two we pulled from your Instagram. We did a little digging. Do you prefer long hair or short hair? And Michelle,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Short hair. Yeah, I mean.
Mad Hatter or Joker?
I also pulled those from your Instagram.
Both good. Oh, man.
Both really
I'm gonna have
good.
to say Joker.
Both really good costumes. I was so impressed when we were like looking at your Instagram yesterday. I was like, what?
Shout out to my girlfriend for that.
Those were so good.
She did a really good job. Okay, the last one that I'm going to throw in here is finish this sentence. My legacy is fill in the blank.
My legacy is helping others realize their potential.
That's why you're a legend in the making, Cye.
I surprised myself that I was able to think that fast.
I mean, I think it's fun to do rapid fire because it really just forces you to say whatever it is that's like in your heart. So that was really cool. You said you wanted to expand on your favorite SGBM medley.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, there was a lot of favorites, obviously. I love SG. That set in particular was my first set that I got to build for SG on my own. So it's kind of like my baby. The production, the end result was something that I could have never imagined. Like it just ended up becoming or turning out so much better than I wanted, And then I also got to incorporate other choreographers, and I was able to really hone in the skills of the dancers on the team, which was where I got to realize yes, that's the true meaning of leadership. Seeing everyone's strengths and helping them to put that into the end product, So that set meant so much to me, and the fact that it got such positive feedback and everyone took it so well just made it even better.
Yeah. I think it's one of those sets where it's funny because it's such a fun set, but you watch it and you're like, God damn, I got to take this team seriously, It's so much fun, but you're just kind of like, holy crap.
Yeah. It was a fun process. And then at the same time, it was so much fun to do. Till this day, people who were in that set, we always say wow, I remember doing it on stage and just the reaction of the audience, it was just surreal, and it felt good.
It was such a good set. It's one of the iconic storytelling sets that I think Super is really known for. I wasn't part of the original cast, but I had the opportunity to do it for World of Dance.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was so good. It's such an immersive experience, I think, not only for the people who are watching, but the people who got to dance in it. I have two questions. Mm-hmm. Will SG do another storytelling set like that, or what's next for Super artistically? And then, what's also next for Legacy Creative?
I mean, definitely. I mean, me as a choreographer, as an artist, I love the storytelling aspect of dance, and I love the creativity. I've said that word so many times. So I wouldn't put that off the table. Definitely expect to see more storytelling medleys. Right now, we are just starting out the season, so we're still trying to find the identity of this fresh batch and trying to see what they excel in. So we're taking our time and trying to figure out what that is. They're a younger cast, so obviously their experience is different, and just the styles that are out there right now is different. So trying to balance that out into like what I was used to and what they're used to, and trying to find like the collaboration so that it's not like too one-sided for everybody, really trying to find that balance is what we're trying to do now. Because now I'm on the older side of the spectrum for the team.
Is that weird to say?
It's so weird. Like
because you feel young still, right?
Obviously I'm still dancing, right? Yeah. And I honestly don't feel young. Like anyone on the team, even like the youngest person on the team, like we can still talk and understand each other. There's no generational gap,
They're not coming in with like new slang.
Yeah.
Like, hold on.
Luckily, like I understand it, so so I'm not too far off, and but for the longest time that I was on SG, so just weird to think about it, I joined SG 2010.
So you were the baby.
I was the baby. I was 19, I believe. Jay, the director, he was about my age now when I joined. So at that point I was like, wow, like, okay, like there's a wide range of age on this dance team, So I was in the beginning of the spectrum. Now I'm 28 and there's a 19-year-old on the team. So, I'm looking at it on the other side and I'm like, wow, like where did the time go?
Yeah.
Like what happened? But I didn't even know, like I still feel young,
Oh, Cye, so. You're talking to me.
Well, see, that's the thing too. It's so hard to realize these things.
Yeah.
We don't even feel old. Well, hopefully no one feels old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing about dance and this particular community is that I can go to Legacy, I can go to a studio, and I can walk in and take, a class or whatever. And age is it's not relevant. Yeah. Thank you for making me young.
Always. And that's the thing too, like a lot of questions we get on whether it be the website or Instagram or whatever it may be, they're like, oh, am I too old to dance? And I'm always like, why is that ever a question? You're never too old to dance. Like you'll see videos on social media of people dancing in their 60s, whatever it may be. Like if you play music and you're moving your foot, you are dancing.
Yeah.
You are never too old to dance. Dance is like something you do. It's not, you don't have to be in the profession. You don't have to take it seriously. Like it's something that's fun to do. And dance doesn't always have to be strenuous work. And that's just for us who are trying to make a living out of it. Like we put our bodies to the limits, but not everyone has to do that. Like there is a dance for everybody.
Yeah, that was definitely a frequently asked question when we still had the box was like, how old do you need to be to take this class, or am I too old? And I think it's really them asking, will you accept me as I am? And the cool thing about dance is that it's all inclusive.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you could even look at if you want to get serious about it, like you can look at the history of dance and how it even came to be. Like dance rose from like a political outrage, like like people were trying to be included, so if you don't feel included, or if dance is ever non-inclusive, like we need to check ourselves, like, hey, like dance was built for this.
It just got goosebumps again.
This is the Goosebumps episode. So Michelle and I had the great opportunity to watch the first showcase, I believe, for Legacy Creative Arts. And that was really cool because we got that feeling of it's all inclusive. We got to see your youth groups as well as some of your older dancers. What is next for the studio in terms of events, showcases, or just where you want to see the studio grow?
I definitely want to do more showcases, and I think bringing it into the studio was a nice environment and it kept it intimate. I brought people in as part of the show who weren't instructors, like I brought Dylan. He's taught a couple times in the studio, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring in those people who have put in their time and chose to accept Legacy, as part of their dance journey, and bring all of that into the studio and having the show there just felt more right than bringing it to a venue or whatever maybe. And it had a good turnout. Like, people felt included, and even the dancers who haven't met each other in the dance community outside, like they were talking, getting to know each other. So that was cool to see. So I definitely want to do more of that. I honestly just want to bring in artists or these under the radar choreographers into the light. And that's really why we're trying to put out all those videos out, is because people need to see these dope dancers, these dope artists, I think it's just important to bring these people into the light, because we're in such a time where you have the heavy hitters who have the success in social media, and those are the people, or that's where people want to congregate to, they want to take those classes. But how our community came to be was from the support of the community uplifting the people that we knew had the capability of, teaching or creating awesome content. And that's really what I wanted to do with the studio, was get these up and comers and these people who don't have that opportunity, and give them a chance to show people that, wow, they're creating some really good stuff. Like Dylan, I'm still till this day, I am impressed with what he did at Legacy Showcase. It was one of my favorite pieces, from the show. I didn't see it coming, I was I've had him teach at the studio a couple times, and I've seen his work, and I was this kid's got something. But when he put on a full production in such a short time, I was like, what the heck? Why are people not flocking to this class, So that's my end goal, and that's what I guess that's what you can say is that's what's next for the studio. Is I just want to do that. I want people to take these classes, whether or not they're in the industry or they're traveling choreographers, because that's where our dance community came from, and without that start, none of these choreographers that people enjoy today would be here,
Yeah, thank you for doing that for the community, because I feel like it's a huge responsibility, but also just an amazing blessing that you're putting back into, the people that helped craft what you've been able to do as a dancer, as a choreographer, as a studio owner. So like you said, it's a cycle, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we end every episode with highlighting something that's good in the dance community. I feel like, with everything that's going on in the world, we really want to end the podcast, and we really want this podcast to be positive. So what is the best thing in the dance community right now? Or the best thing in the dance community right now is?
Growth. Well, rather opportunity. I think, and I touched back, I think, a while ago or earlier. Now there's so much opportunity for dancers, and dance has become, I don't even know the word for it, but it's such a thing now. It's alive, and now that there's so much opportunities for dancers, it's so great, because I know dancers or artists were fighting for that for a long time, for people to take us seriously, or for people to give us a shot, or dancers are always in the background. We're always in, behind the singer, behind the production, but now we're in the front lines. We have our own shows, there are shows about dancing, competitions. Now we can provide podcasts for it, there's so much opportunity now. And I think that just makes it so much wider, a bigger universe, that it's such a beautiful thing.
This has been enlightening and uplifting, and just I am Cye's #1 fan right now.
Yeah, me too. Cye, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I feel like there's just so much more that I want to ask you, because the perspective that you have on dance and just in life in general is, like you said, so inspiring, so uplifting, and I think anyone who crosses your path can benefit from it. So thank you for sharing that with us, sharing that with our listeners, and of course, sharing it with your studio and your students. It's really cool.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We want you back.
Yes.
On another episode so that we can continue to pick your brain, because I feel like we just touched the surface.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot more in that brain of yours that we can talk about. So yeah, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you so much for listening to the Collab podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by leaving a review on iTunes.
And be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts.
The conversation continues over on Instagram and YouTube with highlights from today's episode.
Painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. Yeah, when I'm all alone, she pulled through. So when I catch that wave, we gon' move. But then again, we probably won't.